Yo, what's good everyone? The long awaited Kafka's out in a few weeks, so let's look at her kit, relics, teams and light cones. I usually do a quick 5-minute guide, which is what this video is going to be, but with Kafka having a damage over time mechanic that a lot of us aren't used to, I'll be dropping a more in-depth guide for her in a few days. Subscribe if you want to see that video, and let's get straight into it. At the moment, her kit looks like this. The skill deals damage to one enemy, as well as a little bit of damage to the enemies adjacent to it. If the target enemy is currently receiving damage over time, which I'll refer to from now on as DOT, all DOT effects from any character are immediately triggered for a percentage of their original damage. Her ultimate deals damage to all enemies with a chance for them all to become shocked, which is lightning DOT, and at the same time, they'll immediately take damage from all DOT effects, just like with her skill, thanks to her ascension too. Shock will last for 2 turns and it'll deal damage at the start of those turns. She has a nice talent too. Once per turn, whenever an ally uses a basic attack, she triggers a follow-up attack on the same enemy that deals lightning damage with a chance to apply shock. As far as stats go, there are different ways to approach a build, which I discuss in the in-depth video in a few days. For those that want my quick recommendation, I'd go with an attack body, speed boots, lightning damage sphere and an attack rope, or an energy rope if you want to use her ultimate more. For speed, just make sure your other DOT characters have slightly more speed than her, so you can trigger their DOT with Kafka's skill in her first turn. Also, if you want to increase her chance to shock with her ultimate to 100%, which you don't need by the way, the 92% chance she already has is fine, you'll just need 11% effect hit rate from her relic substats. If she's holding the resolution shines light cone, she'll want more effect hit rate, but I'd run that light cone on one of your other Nihility characters like Sampo, cause he'll want to build effect hit rate anyway. For relics, her best 4-piece will be Sizzling Thunder, but Musketeer's a good alternative if you don't have it. You could even mix and match 2 pieces aiming for lightning damage, attack or speed. 4-piece Thief's an option if you want to go for a full break effect build, but I don't recommend it. For the planar ornament set, I recommend Space Ceiling Station for the extra attack. If you're running it outside of DOT comps, you could even give a Broken Keel to give everyone some crit damage. Von Watt gives it energy regeneration, but if you're not satisfied with her energy, I'd just recommend Space Ceiling Station then give it an energy rope. I'm going to talk more about teams now, but if you want to know more about stats and builds, subscribe for the in-depth guide in a few days. As for teams, you can go with units that she shares a banner with like Luca and Sampo. Throw in a defensive unit and you have a DOT team. In terms of the best synergy for a defensive character, you could maybe use a preservation unit with Trend of the Universal Market. When the wearer is attacked, it has a chance to burn the enemy for 2 turns. Sampo's value is that he applies DOT of a different element, as well as increasing the target's DOT damage taken by 20% for 2 turns. Luca applies bleed, deals raw damage, and helps with skill point management. Serval's on the banner too, and she can be swapped in for Luca. She has a chance to shock the enemy with her skill, and can extend the duration with a burst while having a low energy cost. Hook's able to burn enemies, and you'll be able to give her the free-to-play dog light cone. That increases her damage by 32% to opponents afflicted with burn or bleed, which will have a lot of uptime here. Asta's also an option because she'll increase the team's speed and attack. One of the traces lets her apply burn with her basic attacks, so that's an option if for any round you wanted to save some skill points. You could even go with Welting given for matter. That'll increase his weakness break, which contributes to delaying enemies slightly more if he can get the break, and it'll increase his damage against opponents affected by shock or shear, which will be all the time in this team. Silverwolf has massive value to DOT teams, because she reduces the enemy's defense, which is a big factor in the DOT formula. She also implants a weakness to an element, and reduces the opponent's elemental damage resistance to that element. Of course, if you don't have her, Pela also reduces the enemy's defense, so she has big value too. You don't need to run a DOT team though, like this free-to-play one for example. Plenty of people throw Sampo in their teams when they fight against content with wind vulnerability like Kafka in Simulated Universe World 5. You can use your Kafka in the same way when the enemy has lightning vulnerability like Svarog in World 4. Now I've got all the light cones on screen right now, so you can pause the video and have a look at which you prefer. What I'll do next though is compare the most popular recommendations. Firstly, in 1.3, we're getting a new Nihility light cone added to Herta's store that increases break effect, DOT, as well as regenerating energy. I think it's worth keeping an eye on that one and maybe holding back on Kafka's signature until we know more about it. If you do go for Kafka's signature, you're going to get increased damage, speed, and a chance to inflict a road, which considers enemies to be shocked, and deals lightning damage at the start of the turn. Also note, to increase the chance of inflicting a road, try and get a bit of effect hit rate in her substats. As super in position 5, the free-to-play option for matter increases break effect by 32%, as well as giving 32% extra damage to opponents affected by shock or wind shear. In a team with Sampo, you'll have a lot of uptime on that. There are a few good gacha attach her options, and I don't want to go into all of them in case I make the video too long, but Resolution Shines is a good one to have on someone in the team. Basically, it's got a chance to decrease the enemy's defense by up to 16%, which is going to make everyone's DOT deal more. I'd put it on someone else, but if you want it on Kafka, just make sure to give her a little bit of effect hit rate if possible in her substats. Now, is she worth pulling? If you're a DOT enjoyer, I'd say she's the best unit for that niche that we'll get for a long time. Outside of DOT, she's usable, but she's not a necessity given the fact we already have strong lightning units. We're limited for DOT units right now, so I can see Kafka being a unit that gets even stronger as time goes on. If you enjoyed the video, I'll be dropping the more in-depth Kafka guide in a few days. I'll be doing guides for the 1.3 characters, and I'll have one out soon for Luca too. Subscribe if you want to see those, and take it easy.